Hey everyone, you know who it is, and it's time to hop on the internet and read some of your comments out of the reviews, the big reviews of the past week or so. So let's do it. Ba-bam! It's actually not Donda in the background, believe it or not. Just a vinyl copy of Dean Blunt's Black Metal, which is an excellent record and I know looks like Donda, which is why I had it back there. Anthony, you can't just add 3 points for the "Say That You a Lesbian Girl." Me too bar. Drake has a son and bangs girls. If you don't catch that from the album straight away, don't worry, he'll remind you 10 more times on every single track. I'm sorry, the top comments are just too good and funny, but this one, I tend to kind of agree. I mean, if you look at the credits of the record, there are still a lot of writer and production credits on every single track, some of which may have come about in weird ways, like the R. Kelly credit on the record. But there is something about this project that feels like Drake maybe lost some creative support on this one, because there's just so many tracks that seem completely void of anything catchy, passionate, or exciting, or compelling. Yeah, I tend to mostly agree on this one. I think the Drake narrative, unfortunately, on this project has kind of staled. I mean, I know recently we had, some occurrences with, the Kanye beef and flare-up, but that's kind of just a repeat of what has been ongoing over the past few years. Like, we know you have a kid. We know that, you kind of live this bachelor lifestyle. We know that you don't like Kanye and Kanye doesn't like you and so on and so forth. You're telling me there's nothing else new to tell us or update us on or say at this point? I have my own thoughts on like how exactly the Drake and Kanye beef has played out and who is more to blame in the midst of it. But I do fully agree. Like, he is horrible at acting like it doesn't bug him. It very obviously bugs him, or at least he has no issue with bringing it back up as, I guess, a vehicle to gain more attention for his record and just kind of like have an excuse to write about something. The Prophet Kendrick strikes again. This was a pretty long and interesting comment that I agree with in some parts and not in others. I don't necessarily feel the same way you do about Drake doing a more meaningful or even maybe a conceptual project. I think if he did, his fans probably would eat that shit up. They'd love it. And it most likely still would do numbers. I mean, look at the fact that Kanye did numbers with Donda, and that's such a challenging LP in a lot of ways. But is there actually a legit fear in Drake to switch it up and do something really different? Probably at this point. Yeah, I guess it kind of turns out the cover art is maybe the most interesting thing about the record. Yeah, I did want to enjoy the record. Kacey usually gets so many rave reviews, and there are people sometimes whose music opinions I take very seriously that seem to have nothing but, praise for her work, and I want to be in on the excitement as well. Yes. Yeah, I talked about not being crazy about the record in the review. I kind of reminded you in the review that I was not a huge fan of the record. As underwhelming as that record is to me, it sounds so much better. Even if a lot of people aren't agreeing with how down on the record I am, there does seem to be at least some consensus among fans that this is like not an advancement past the last LP, and I hope at least among her fans, Kacey kind of bounces back on the next one. Well, Kacey does have a passionate fan base, and look, even if I'm not crazy about this record, Pageant Material is still very much worth listening to. Same trailer, different park. And Golden Hour got, rave reviews for a reason. I'm glad you liked it more than me, and that is the one thing I will, say that the record does relatively well from front to back, and that's that it really does kind of take you through that divorce and that breakup narrative, and Kacey's personal focus on that theme is very sharp, and some of her reflections on that are pretty moving as well, but everything else surrounding that is just not it for me. These tracks that you bring up here, these are actually some of the songs I think are the better ones on the record, truly and honestly, but even in these moments, I think the mastering and the mixing is just like so bad and so off. I just can't fully get as into the song as I'd like to. Saw a few comments like this that I would like to push back on. I don't think it sounds like the same song over and over. It's like a bunch of kind of very different messes going on. You know, even if I never get full credit for that, it's okay. You know, it's just my contribution to the world. There were some tracks that I really liked from the Die For My Bitch era, but yeah, a lot of the songs just in the direct lead up to this album, I thought just ran a little rough. And given that Keem had dropped Orange Soda in 2019, I wonder if this record just kind of effectively got pushed back. That may have been the case. Well, that was a first listen. First listens can be deceiving, and I pretty much never do a review off of a first listen because that's really not enough time with a record to understand. Even if I know I don't like it, at that point I still don't really know what I don't like about it. And there were a lot of things during the live stream that hit me as being very weird, you know, as far as a first impression goes on the record. But a lot of that stuff I came acclimated to pretty quickly and came to appreciate as a part of Keem's, I guess, quirky style. You know, I don't want to kill the joke that fast, you know, and kill it kind of fast, but you know, I don't want to bury it in the ground instantaneously. Give it a couple weeks. Yeah, that was a track that I caught a Cardi influence off of, a Kanye influence off of, and a Travis influence off of all at once, but I didn't really have a whole lot to say about it other than that. I thought it was one of the more decent cuts, but it was sort of drowning in its influences, and again, given that was sort of the extent of my commentary on that song, I just sort of left my thoughts out of the review. Agree, that's kind of what I respect about the record as well. It's silly, but it's also creative, and there are some really personal and very serious moments on it as well, where he gets very emotional, and those moments are just as compelling as the hype spots. Pretty much every time I hear that track, there's another ridiculous bar that just like sticks out to me and then just like gets lodged in my brain for the next few hours. We are not the Waynes. Absolutely. If that song had another verse on it, mwah. Shout out to the Serpent with Feet sample on that track too. I'm not really surprised to hear that, and that's totally fine because it's by no means a perfect record. There's a lot to critique on this record. I think enjoying it comes down to how willing you are to look past its technical flaws to see the creativity and what is exactly kind of unique about what Keem does. You know, I'm not surprised that some people may feel this way. Keem's voice is not for everybody. That's true. Yes, some of you guys may have been like anticipating a 10 on this one, but look, if it's a 10 for you, then it's a 10. True, yes, and you're getting better and better at dropping these top comments, buddy. We really appreciate it over here, elevating that discourse. God, I wish. You know, I maybe it doesn't seem like it because I come onto a YouTube channel where I'm totally comfortable talking about a topic that I'm passionate about with people who are demanding that I talk about it. But in any other context, no. Yeah, I'm not gonna disagree on that one. Yeah, we'll give it to Simz on that one. Man, since when do you guys start throwing down on music theory in the comments? I'm liking that. Oh, you were not here for the Black Midi review then. That was like slaughter. My God. That was like giving that record a 3 out of 10. From some of the responses. Big Fat Gigantic agree. I mean, it's definitely a shakeup that, you know, at least artistically speaking, Little Simz has had the record of the past couple of weeks, and this has been a big release. A couple of weeks, and hopefully in the next 6 to 8 years we're talking about her like she's one of the biggest out there. I don't know, man, you're saying a lot, but it's not adding up to much in my opinion. I mean, after so many years of reviews and analysis, especially the 10 out of 10 reviews I've done, like the one thing that lines all those records up in your mind is that there's a lot of distortion and harsh sounds on them. I'm not praising these records or magnetized by them because they are sonically unique or conceptual or anything like that. It's just a lot of harsh sounds and stuff. Plus also paralleling harsh sounds or distortion with like gore in a movie, I think, is like a really huge freaking misnomer, honestly. Little Simz rocks it from front to back on this LP, and you know what? In rap, that kind of used to be the standard at one point, but it's not anymore. And, you know, while I love good features on a record, I feel like having little to no features is kind of a testament to really having something to say, and you can't deny that that's the case for Simz here. Oh my God. And there you have it, me reading your comments on youtube.net. If you have any more comments, you can leave those in the comments, though I will most likely not be reading those. Over here next time I edit another video you can check out, hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano reading comments forever.